Yes. You have tuned in to Renewed Mind Revolution podcast with your host, Michelle Cook Hall. Today's podcast is brought to you by Faith versus Fear, Breaking Family Ties, which can be found and available on Barnes & Noble and Amazon.com. This podcast is designed with you in mind to remind you that you can always click that reset button and start all over again. It's never too late to be great. So now I want you to sit back. I want you to relax. I want you to clear your mind, take in that deep breath, prepare yourself for change as we listen in on Renewed Mind Revolution podcast with your host, Michelle Cook Hall. Let's go. Welcome to Renewed Mind Revolution podcast with your host, Michelle Cook Hall. As always, it is my honor and my pleasure to be able to share some tips and some tools with you that I know will assist you in becoming a better you. Today we have a special guest. His name is Samuel Adelowo, and he is the president and founder of People Concern International. And he's going to tell us about this organization. He's going to talk to us about what they're doing, some great work, why it's important, and how we can get involved to assure the success of this organization. Welcome, Samuel. I'm so glad to be able to have you here today. My listeners are excited as well. As always, we share something that we know is going to help someone else. And so what you're doing is a great work. And so we want to make sure that the people know that it exists and that find out more information so that if someone is out there who wants to play a part in this organization, participate in this organization, they'll be able to do so. So welcome, Samuel. Please tell my listeners a little bit about yourself and about this organization, People Concern International.
Thank you, Michelle. We've been friends, and this is a wonderful opportunity. Well, my name is Samuel Adelowo, and you pronounce it beautiful. Well, People's Concern International, it's a concept that we were inspired to form here in the United States. I would like people to know I'm from Cameroon, in Central Africa, West Africa. So back in Cameroon, I used to be a member of the civil society, and I had served the American Peace Corps organization in Cameroon in their small business development program. And when I came here in 2013, I won a green card. One of the problems which is so prevalent now in Africa is youth employment. Could you imagine a case study like in Nigeria that youth unemployment is over 50%? And that is the same in many other African countries and my own home country, Cameroon. And also education, because we feel, if you look at the developed countries around the world, most of them, they were empowered through education, skills, learning, and they were able to transform themselves to economic success. So what we in 2020, we formed this organization, People's Concern International, and we were given a 501c status in 2022. Well, my background, because I would like people to understand this. People's Concern International, we try to see how we help children, especially in Cameroon now, there are crises happening there. Many children have fled from certain areas and they are in places where they don't have even places to learn. Some of them are just living in homes. They don't have the resources, the school supplies. Most are orphans because their children have been killed. And then the young people, one thing people should know, especially here in the United States, The young people have been to school, many of them graduates, but their problem is they don't have opportunities. I don't want to go into politics to judge the governments, but these young people are very creative. They are really crying and saying, United States and many developed countries that come to Africa, getting resources, natural resources, and these opportunities are not given to these young people to transform. They've been creative. I have met a lot of young people who have done wonderful things. And People's Concern International, what we are pleading is if we can have support, because I was in Cameroon last year and I met a lot of young people, I inspired them, and their cry is, yes, Samuel, you're telling us all this, but you know what happens in our country. Can we have the tools? Some of us like technology, some of us want vocational training, some of us want to do things, but can United States and many of these countries and philanthropies and donors and goodwill people support us so that we can exercise what we have studied? So People's Concern International is to empower youths to get employment, and it is for supporting children so that they can get education.
Okay. So I have a question. So this organization, are you guys creating these job opportunities, or you just provide the resources such as technology, such as education opportunities? Because you stated that there are individuals, youth who are educated, but there's nothing there for them to, be able to use what they've learned. So are you creating job opportunities or, opportunities for them to be able to become self-sufficient and economically stable? Is that a possibility? Is that something that you're working towards?
Yes, thank you, Michelle, for asking this. Well, what we have done, when I used to be in Cameroon, I was a consultant, and we've done training. People's Concern International gather resource people to train, motivate them so that they can not look at the government, because the governments don't have the jobs. United States is a developed country because people look at the private sector. It is not the government we should be the highest employer. So we've done things motivated that many of them are having those basic training. When I was in Cameroon, I attended many centers where people are already doing. I talked to some young people who have just studied solar, how to install solar panels, and some who have just finished training on computer, on computer technology and so on. And then I went to some schools where I delivered school supplies. But what we are pleading is that we've been doing, I was in Nigeria, where I attended to young people who are doing farming, who just need tools. They are on the ground, they are doing that, but they need that because, like I've given you the statistics, is too high. And many of these people, the governments, are not there to help. So People's Concern International, we are trying now to plead that the little things we've done, we don't have much resources to support, because many of these young people are there. And if you can see what must have happened, many of them take risks to go that they want to visit developed countries, come to United States, go to Europe, and they end up dying. Some even die in the high sea. Some of them are being tricked by people who deceive that they will help them have visas and all that. And at the end of it, they find themselves in situations where it's very painful, that some even have to die, some fall sick, and so on. So People's Concern International is new, but we have been doing things in the field, but we need help in the sense that we really have those young people who even don't want to travel abroad, but who say they can remain in their country, but they need support so that they can be empowered, so that they can help their own families.
Right. So they need the tools, such as you stated.
The tools,
They need
exactly.
these resources. So um, if I'm an individual coming to you saying, okay, I hear what you're doing, I appreciate what you're doing, and I want to be a part of this, what is the best way that I can support these people concerning international? What is right now, what is needed the most right now that I can do to assist this organization to ensure the success of these young people? Because the core of what you're telling me right now, which is a passion of mine as well as young people, I completely love young people and helping young people. And so I'm hearing you and you have my ear, I'm listening. So if I'm coming to you and I'm saying, what can I do right now? What is prevalent right now? What would you say to me? What can an individual who is listening to you right now saying, yes, I hear you and I want to help, what can they do?
Well, it is simple. One of the things we encourage people to do is that we are based here in Dallas, Texas, but we are based in DeSoto, which our address is 1012 Stone Ridge Lane, DeSoto, Texas, which our zip code is 75115.
Okay.
So we welcome donations
Okay.
because they have things that they can buy. Then we also welcome that people can donate used tools like used computers, which we can ship to some of these African countries. Like last time when I went, I had to carry some few computers which we bought, which we donated to a school. But could you imagine a school using only one computer?
Okay.
It's not sufficient.
Right.
Then we can also welcome, if people feel that they even want to help them for more training, they could contact us. But I think what is so important is donations in form of funds so that we can use some of those funds to buy things. But even here in United States is a blessed country where people have a lot of used things which they just throw away. So we say you can donate school materials, pens, pencils, all these things will ship because last time we shipped 4 barrels to Cameroon, which were basically school supplies, which we donated to some schools, especially these schools where they have the orphans and they don't have. And Michelle, to just conclude on one thing, is that in Africa, when you train an African child or in a family, somebody has a job, because we live in a communal family, we live like one family. We do not have things that we think all of ourselves. So one thing Americans should know that when you help one African family, that blessing will go to the mother, to the cousins, to the sisters, and so on. My own children who are here in the United States, every month they make sure they are helping their cousin back home because they don't have those resources. I've just given you statistics that in Nigeria, over 133 million live below poverty line. That
133 million?
Yes, of Nigeria. Nigeria is about 200 million. So it is just a few who have everything, buy planes, but the other people cannot even afford their daily meal, even Nigeria, which is a very renowned. But do you see how creativity works? In Nigeria now in film industry, in doing many things, entertainment industry is competing with the United States because some of these young people have those skills, they have those potentials, and they just need to be supported.
Awesome. This is good information, Samuel. This is good stuff. I really appreciate this a lot. I have a question. So first of all, let me give out that address again because I want to make sure that they hear it. I got it for you. I got it. It's 1012 Stone Ridge Lane, DeSoto, Texas, 75115. 1012 Stone Ridge Lane, DeSoto, Texas, 75115. And you are looking for donations, you're looking for tools, you're looking for school supplies, any and everything that can assist these youth in becoming self-sufficient and being productive and getting them above the poverty line that seems to be an epidemic there in Cameroon. So, okay, so I do have a question. How many schools do you guys currently work with?
Well, in Cameroon, in the rural areas, we've been attending to some schools in the rural areas. And then in the cities, because of the crisis that exists in Cameroon now, most of the suburbs, they have schools now which are not even being well constructed. If I show you pictures of schools where people don't even have the board where the teacher has to write. So what we are also thinking is that we would like, if we, being that we're starting and we've already identified schools where they don't have those basic infrastructures, if we have funding, we are going to build schools. And we would like volunteers. One of the things I failed to mention is that we will welcome volunteers that we can travel if they want to travel to Africa to see, because one of the things I will bring here, which I also missed, is that we are inspired spiritually. We are people who, I in particular, have spent 40 years moving around the world for trusting that God, our ultimate creator, when people like Nelson Mandela, people who devoted their life for the well-being of other people. So I'm doing this because I would like, with my friends, who would like to be remembered that if we're no more in this planet, we'll be counted that we contributed to the well-being of other fellow human beings. And that's why the name People's Concern International is that we're concerned for people. Because when people are happy, there will be peace. When people are happy, God will be happy that his creation in this planet is being honored. So love, that's why we promote love. Even when I go to most of the schools, the first thing I do, even before giving them gifts, I want them to be very good exemplary citizens, that they should be people who do not create chaos. They should be people who are a blessing to their fellow human beings. They should be people who know that anything they provide in this world will become a blessing to other people. So People's Concern International is inspired more on a religious background, spiritual background, before we even hand out gifts to people. We believe that when we honor God, the world will be a better place.
I appreciate what you're saying. I feel like every one of us have a call. We have a responsibility, and I hear your passion. I'm often like that about something that tugs at my heart. I've been known to be very passionate about something, and I love that the passion that you have and the heart that you have for what you're doing is you're changing a generation, whether you know it or not. You're changing a generation because so many people come from something and then they don't look back to help anybody. They never look back. They just, I'm glad I made it. I'm glad I'm fine. I'm glad I arrived, and they go on with their lives. But the fact that your heart is drawn to these young people to understand that if you can help the young people, then, you know, our world will be better, because if they understand, because a lot of times young people are overlooked, they're pushed to the side, you know, they're told they're not important indirectly. Sometimes they're told they're not important, but you're showing them that you are important, that we need you, you know, and we love you. Because sometimes people just need to hear that they're loved and they're not pushed aside or neglected or forgotten. And I hear this message of love that you're sharing, and this passion that you have. This is a huge project that you have taken on. It's a huge responsibility, but I think you are the man for the job for sure. I think you're the man for the job, but it's a huge responsibility. I know whenever it comes to something that God calls us to do, it's a huge responsibility, because we're empathetic. You know, we have such a heart and a love for people, and we hate to see them hurt. We hate to see them abandoned or mistreated, you know, and I can hear that in you. And I'm going to tell you, I just love that. I absolutely love what you're doing and what you're saying. that you are looking at young people who you know have potential, you know they have potential to do something great and change where they are. They don't have to run, but change where they are and make it a better place. And that's what's so awesome about it. And so I want to reiterate to my listeners that if you have taken the time to listen to this, please make sure that you are contacting Samuel and his organization so that you too can be a part of something that's much bigger than ourselves. And once again, that is presidential. He's the president and founder of People Concerning International. It's a nonprofit organization. They're verified. They've got their paperwork together. So they are verified, and you can look that up. 1012 Stone Ridge Lane, DeSoto, Texas, 75115. And they're looking for not only your financial donations, but think about it, every year here in this country, before school start, you have school drives, right? They call them school drives, where they're giving all papers and pens and computers and calculators and all these things for children. So if you have those things, you know, you need to donate those things to, and I'm not just talking about individuals, I'm reaching out for organizations and companies such as Target and Walmart and all these big major companies that can assist in this project as well. So we're just calling out for those, if you work for these type of companies, or you are up the ladder or know someone who has influence in these companies that can help in this organization, please do so, because it's a very important organization that they're doing. When we're empowering our youth, we're changing our world. Who's going to take care of us, right? If we don't take care of our youth, there's nothing left. They're the ones going to be making the choices later on in life, and they're the ones going to make sure that, you know, everything keeps flowing and keep going. So we got to make sure we take care of our youth. Tell me something else besides the fact that you all are looking for volunteers, and that's important too. So if you can't, you know, give the funds. So you're in a tight position yourself and you can't give the funds. You're also looking for volunteers, so they can reach out to you as well to volunteer. Your website is peopleconcernint.org. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Okay. So they can reach you through your website as well.
Exactly.
Okay. So your organization takes care of the resources, the education, the tools, and all these other things. Is there anything else about this organization that you want to share, you know, with those who are listening? Anything else that is, because I mean, you shared some very important things, but is there anything else that we're missing that you might want to share about your organization?
Yeah, I'm speaking now from a spiritual perspective.
Okay.
I would like people to know that we are living in one planet. Yes. And that America, if you see the founding fathers of this nation, they love this country and they provided a level where everything that today all of us are enjoying is because people had to see that people had to consent for the love of their fellow human beings. One of the things, if you look at Africa, before we formed this organization, that I'm pleading, sometimes I want to shed tears when I went last time seeing children crying, but seeing how there are a lot of things which leave Africa, and these children keep asking questions, but why we? Why is it that American cannot help us to see that we can have vocational schools, we can have those basic things that make life, and then we still remain poor, where there are things. I wish to travel to Africa and see what is in Africa. The question is, if all these things can be brought here, the minerals, the resources like for agriculture, but where we can not open our hearts to think that these children, if the governments cannot help, and a country like this, which is blessed with a lot of resources, we can't extend a helping hand, then we are not going good. Because the world has come to where, whether we talk about God, but if we cannot touch our fellow human beings to see that they too can sleep and at least be happy that they have even a daily meal, then we are not living in a world that we are promoting globalization. So all I'm saying is we are motivated spiritually. We are not here to, I'm blessed because if I say I'm blessed, I have children who came and studied here, who the office I'm talking to you now, which my son made me, he is a doctor of mental health, psychiatric doctor. I have sons who are doing things, but is it only my own children who should have the basics in life?
Right.
So listen, there's war in Cameroon. I remember what is happening in Ukraine.
Yeah.
Many Americans are aware, but do they also know there are crises in other African countries where the poor people, the innocent children, are the ones suffering, who did not call, who did not even create that situation? So all I'm pleading that good philanthropists, goodwill people, people who know that we're in this world to love one another, they should join us. And I am ready. We are transparent. We're on, we have a CPA who monitors our accounting, just that we are new, we don't have money now, but we are not here for children's games. We are here to live love so that we can remember tomorrow that we serve our fellow human beings, as I emphasize.
Yeah. I appreciate again this passion. I'm not saying that like just to blow it. I love it. I love it because I think that when you have passion with something, things happen. I think things happen when you are passionate about something. When you're talking about the activities that's happening there in Ukraine and all that, I'm just going to say that, you know, unfortunately in our country, they pick and choose the narrative that they want to share. So what I mean is, you know, if they don't want us to know about what's going on there, they won't share it because it's not important for that moment. That's just the reality of where we live. And when it's important to them, then they'll, you know, bring it out and share it. And I say this because recently I was sharing with someone that when the war in Ukraine first happened, you heard about it quite often. And people were really, you know, drawn to it and really concerned about it. But then all of a sudden, they kind of pushed it out of the media and you didn't hear it anymore. And you were wondering, I know they're still fighting. I know there's people still hurting, people still going through things, but you didn't hear about it anymore because that's not what they wanted to push anymore. They didn't want you to hear that story anymore. So that's why it's very important for someone like yourself who can still be a voice and say, wait a minute, you know, I want you to know that this is going on and this is important, and keep it in the light, you know, keep it out in the front for those who forget, for those who get very comfortable in their homes and in their fancy cars and in their comfortable church pews and their comfortable pulpits. They forget that the whole point of what we're doing as believers and as Christians is the love of Christ. And how do we show the love of Christ? That's not just about our words, but it's about our actions. So we have to be moved to do things. Faith without works is dead. So I can talk all day and tell you, you know, I'm a Christian, I'm a Christian, I'm a Christian. But if I don't show you in some type of way that I love God and love his people, then I'm just talking. And so what you're doing, in my opinion, and my perspective, is being an arm or a leg, you know, of Christ right now, of the movement, because you're not just talking, but you're actually showing the love and the compassion that we're supposed to show. So that's very important, and I appreciate that. So is there anything else that you want to share today?
No, thank you. And I know, Michelle, that what we are doing, God will bless us because God has no hands and feet. He uses human beings so that those human beings can be here to function for God. And just like you said, let's allow God's spirit to be in this planet by loving one another. Thank you so much, Michelle. You're
no
a wonderful
problem.
lady.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Thank you for reaching out. Thank you for wanting to be a part of this podcast. It truly has been my honor to have you on today. I hope that you enjoyed our conversation as much as I did. And I thank you so much for your time. I'm sure you're a very busy person. You have a lot of work to do, but I'm hoping and praying that I know God's hand is on what you're doing. And I know that his hand is on this conversation and this chat that we had today. So that my prayer today is that someone would hear what you're doing, hear what you have said today, and be compelled and drawn to give in such a major way that it literally pushes you all to where you need to be. That's my word for you today, is that someone will be compelled to sow into this organization in such a way that it will compel you guys to go to where you need to be.
Exactly.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thank you all for listening to I'm tongue-tied. Renewed Mind Revolution podcast with your host, Michelle Kakal. It's been my honor and my pleasure to share some tips and some tools with you that I know will assist you in becoming a better you. This has been a great, great opportunity and a great episode. Remember, I love you, but most importantly, God loves you more. God bless.